Good morning, everyone. This is Phil Bell, PB Crisp, Mr. 645, coming at you here to give you a short for the beginning of your week. Now, on Saturday, we asked you what these things, this Illinois Central timetable, a bottle of cherry Pepsi, and a Whitman sampler, well, here you go, all had in common. Well, the reality is they were all related to the Illinois Central Railroad. See, in the 1960s, like most railroads, the Illinois Central created what's called a holding company. The holding company is not regulated the same way that a railroad is. In those days, railroads were subject to regulation of every aspect of their lives by the Interstate Commerce Commission. And this included how they spent all of their money and everything they invested in. But a holding company is not subject to that. It's incorporated for what's said legally general corporate purposes. And that means they can invest in any business out there. So while you had a railroad like the Illinois Central, which was a good railroad, although they didn't return as much money as, say, financial services or even food distribution, they were able to invest in other things outside of the railroad. So what did they do? They got involved in chocolate making, and that's where Whitman's comes in. Later on, though, the Illinois Central Industries, which is the name of the holding company, sold the Illinois Central Railroad itself. And this is after it had merged with the Gulf Mobile in Ohio and created Illinois Central Gulf. Now, the Illinois Central Gulf, then renamed Illinois Central once again, went to a company called the Prospect Group, and it was ultimately taken public and would stay that way until it merged with Canadian National in the 1990s. However, Illinois Central Industries changed its name to Whitman Corporation, where they continue to distribute the very well known and well loved Whitman sampler and other chocolates. As time went on, they also got involved in the distribution and bottling of Pepsi-Cola. And they had a subsidiary called Pepsi Americas, which became the largest non corporate owned distributor. By corporate, I mean owned by PepsiCo itself, distributor of Pepsi Cola in the United States. Pepsi Americas was eventually acquired by PepsiCo itself and has been merged in. And with that, it eliminated the last corporate vestige of Illinois Central Industries and the diversification program that took place starting in the 1960s. And before you think about it, there were plenty of other railroads that did this too. Probably the most famous example of diversification, which we're going to talk about on our podcast later this year, was the Pennsylvania Railroad, which ended up owning parts of the New York Knicks basketball team, among others, as well as the Southern Pacific, which gave rise to what we all know as Sprint, the famous phone company. So we hope you enjoyed it, and we want to give a shout out to Tim Kelly and Scott Nauert. They both won the contest. So they're each getting a copy of these Illinois Central timetables for free. You can purchase them for $10, if you didn't win the contest. And we will have some of those up both on our Etsy page for sale as well as on sale through Facebook. I hope you have a great day, and we will see you back here with our next episode of the All Aboard podcast, where we're going to talk more about the Seaboard Airline, the Atlantic Coast Line, and the Seaboard System later on this week. See you on the main line.